Welcome back, beautiful people, to the House of Moody Vintage podcast. I've got a little bit of an Irish accent on today. I wanted to talk about one of my new favourite television series from Apple TV Plus. It takes place in Ireland, as you can tell. I'm being a little bit obvious right now. It's called Bad Sisters, but I'll get to that in a moment. Let's get started with the episode here. Don't worry, the accent will come back. It just will. I'm in great spirits right now, just good, positive vibes. What a wonderful weekend, even though I was a little disappointed from it was one of my favorite clubs, but it was it's a new place now, it's a new location. They had to because, everything pretty much needed a refurbishing or revamping after COVID. So, understandably, I understand, I get it. But yeah, so but apart from that, the usual, we had some drinks, we had some great food, and more importantly, all that put together, the company, my friends, is priceless. That is, as I've said so many times, that is basically my motto in life. The most beautiful moments are the moments where you can sit around a table to eat great food with even greater company. Hallelujah. Amen. That's how I do it. Another start to a work week. I gotta be honest with you, I was a little not worried, but kind of unsettled, I guess. I guess we can use the term unsettled, work-wise. But I think it's just probably the Monday morning sort of like, got a grind again, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not enjoying my work. Okay, I will not lie to y'all. Although there are great opportunities that may arise, and I'll have to obviously take advantage of that. If I'm able to take advantage of that, that'd be incredibly grateful. I mean, I'm grateful for what I have now, absolutely 100%. I might complain from time to time, but that's just, right now work is just out of necessity, not necessarily a passion thing, and hopefully this year, leads to that, or the end of the year. I mean, well, damn, August is pretty much over, ladies and gentlemen. What is it? It's August 30th right now when I'm recording this. So yeah, just one more day and then hello September. We're going into the fall season with so much great content. We're only really a couple of days away, or 3 days away till Friday. Thursday, yeah, so Friday. So Friday, of course, a great example of that is the new Lord of the Rings series, the Rings of Power. And so many other things. Just, it's fall, right? It's the beginning of football, American football, not the world soccer football. That, of course, will be around the traditional winter months. World Cup is, of course, being held in Qatar. Qatar is hosting the World Cup this year. And so October is going to be, October is going to be packed. Look out for that. I think just generally speaking, for a lot of people who are, in metropolitan areas like Bangkok, right? And just all over the world, because a lot of it is a lot of work. When you have a global event like the World Cup taking place, a lot of the things get shifted. A lot of the events that would usually happen around that same time can't now, because the World Cup is basically taking the attention. It is the most watched competition in the history of the world, right? This sporting event. So, traveling destinations, those are all different now. Places are, it's going to be buzzing with a lot of people. Maybe not in Qatar, because Qatar is really, I'm sure you'll obviously have the, national team supporters. Of course, are going to be there for their teams. But in other metropolitan areas, business is going to be just booming, especially in August. In October. It's going to be packed. I can tell you that from now, from my point of view, because, where I work, there's a lot of events. It's like no sleep mode. You will not get a break unless it's the weekend. But even then, you're probably, a relaxing period will probably you'll have lucky to have like 1 weekend to actually enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, for the people, who are young professionals or professionals out there, you probably already know that's how it's going to happen. It's a very, very busy time of the year, and especially because it's during winter or December month, the end of the year. That also means it's wrapping up the year. So it's very festive time. It's holidays and so on. So, yeah, man, I think there's just, whether you're nervous or, just anxiety written about things to come, just know one way or another, I think it's exciting in the months ahead. And hopefully, it's not just anxiety written, and it's not just about you being stressed out, and you actually are provided with lots of gifts, from the universe. All right. So I'm already putting out that positive energy, those good vibes out there for everybody out there. So take that in, embrace it, and love it, and love it. I'm also just very excited because, hello, House of the Dragon. Okay. Should I dive into it right now? Let's dive into it right now. Should I? Yeah, okay, let's dive into it right now. There are other topics I want to talk about, but I really want to get this out of the way because I wanted to talk about it. Episode 2 of House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones world, we're back in Westeros. And I loved episode 2 more than episode 1. This is how good this show is, okay? I would rank this episode higher than episode 1. Episode 1 was called The Heirs of the Dragon, and episode 2 is The Rogue Prince. But man, and there was no action. There's no action in this, or any brutality or anything, that's in your face like in episode 1 was, which was, I totally understand. It's setting up the whole thing, and also, as well as splicing in a lot of violence, also nudity, it's just basically splice in all the nice, all the, essential elements to make a Game of Thrones show feel like Game of Thrones, like you were back in Westeros, right? But of course, another thing to understand is that in this story in the House of Dragons, especially in season 1, you're getting a lot of time jumps, right? You're going forward. So episode 2 is like, months after, the queen has died, King Viserys' wife. And of course, by the way, this is, if you haven't already guessed, this is spoilers, okay? Spoilers. So if you don't want to listen to this for the next 15 minutes, zone out, okay? Because there's a lot of spoilers in here. I'm going to be talking about it. So if you haven't seen it yet, I highly doubt you haven't seen it. Unless you're one of those people who, want to wait and binge the entire season, which, you're a psycho. No, I'm playing. If you are one of those, I get it. I don't know why you would do that, but, I love this weekly episodic, HBO. Like, this is what HBO does. So, it's just, it just gets you more excited, and you look forward to something, right, on a Sunday night, or Monday morning here for folks here in Thailand. But yeah, so you have to understand that, there's a time jumps and things, people mature or the situation has matured, it's evolved, and there was every scene, and it's something that I totally agree with Christian Harloff. He talked about it on his review. He loved every scene. The same way. I had the same reaction to it. I loved every effing scene in episode 2, where it was character driven. It was character driven, story driven, and it was just about the fucking performance. It was just about the dynamics and the on screen chemistries between characters that are tied together, the tension that comes out of that. And Matt Smith, of course, is, again, I've mentioned in the previous episode about how, he's a scene stealer. He will be, because it's Matt Smith, duh. But everyone's performances, everyone. And I am so taken aback by Millie Alcock, who plays the young Princess Rhaenyra, and Emily Carey, who plays as Alicent Hightower, the young versions of them. These two actors, Millie and Emily, just so fucking good. They are so good in their performances, and I'm kind of bummed because we're not gonna see them throughout the rest of the season, because we're gonna get another time jump. The young Princess Rhaenyra is no longer young; she's older. Alicent, of course, gets older as well. She's now married. Is going to be married to the king, and later on, of course, this is not a spoiler because you can see it in the trailers. Rhaenyra, of course, she gets older. She marries her uncle, Daemon Targaryen, and and so the just I'm just everyone who's in their roles, and I've mentioned this before. HBO, or at least the showrunners for this series, even in Game of Thrones, the original Game of Thrones, they were just good at casting. I was never let down by a single cast member because they were so effing spot on to those characters. It just made sense. It's a perfect example. Of course, Kit Harington it's almost as if he was born to play the role. So much so, he went from playing Black Knight in Marvel. Now they're doing a show of Jon Snow. It's a standalone. Oh, not. Is it a standalone series? I don't know. Maybe it depends if they'll call it Game of Thrones, and then Jon Snow in the title or whatever, which is similar to the House of Dragon. It's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and also highlighting, of course, we didn't get the intro in the first episode, but we did hear in episode 2. We got the iconic theme song back, and rightfully so. I've heard some people, or read, whatever. They were complaining about it, like, oh, they should have came up with an original. Well, no, I mean, okay, that's your opinion. All right, that's cool. But the theme song is iconic, and it's very wonderfully said by John Campea as well. As I was watching his review of it. It's the Iron Throne. That's what the whole story is around, the Iron Throne, and it is the Game of Thrones. So why wouldn't you have the main? It's like Star Wars, right? When you have the Star Wars theme song in the episodic movies, and of course not the episodic movies, and then people were saying just bring it back because it's Star Wars. It's in that universe. It's in the Game of Thrones universe. It's in Westeros. So you should have that iconic theme song in there. And I thought it was a wonderful, of course, I'm pretty sure it was on purpose that they kept us wondering, are they going to bring back the actual theme song? And they did. And I'm glad they did. And of course, the visuals are completely different now. You see the blood sort of, flowing through these rivers of this wonderfully beautiful made maps of, going from one sigil to another, and then, falling into a lava and a pit of fire at the end. It's just beautifully done. It's beautifully done and good on them. And so far so good, man. The showrunners are just spot on with this. And for the story itself, also another thing to point out, people who are probably irked by the whole King Viserys getting married to a much younger girl who's, she's 12. She of course is King Viserys's his niece. Okay, it's his niece, and they were trying to get him married because, to keep the lineage going. I get it, understandable. And of course, this was the product of culture of the time, medieval era and so on, where, young girls were married off very, very young and had babies very, very young. Doesn't make it right. Remember, of course not. But it was a depiction of that time. And fortunately, it makes it a wee bit better. Paddy Considine's character, who by the way, Paddy Considine is just freaking awesome as King Viserys. And, fortunately, he ends up choosing, of course, Alicent Hightower. And again, I know you probably, she's still young. She's still, a teenager, or no, she's actually not. In the original story, in the book, in Fire and Blood, she's actually in her early to mid 20s. So Alicent Hightower is early to mid 20s, and by the time where they get married, where she gets married to King Viserys is actually he's 36 years old. So at most he's 10, maybe 12 years older than her, Alicent Hightower. But Alicent is a grown ass woman. She's in early to mid 20s. So I hope y'all can, it's not as creepy now. It just looks different because, visually we're watching the show. Paddy Considine's obviously much older than 36. And Alicent Hightower Emily Carey, the actor who plays Alicent Hightower, looks much younger. So I get that. But know that in the story, in the book, that is the age difference. He's 36, she's early to mid 20s. So let's sigh of relief here, okay? Let's relax because it was icky. It was icky for everybody. It's a very icky situation. But as even though it's a fictional story, you want to put in that element of realism, and that's how it used to be back in the day, centuries ago, right? But yeah, and I love the back and forth between Viserys, King Viserys, and his daughter, Princess Rhaenyra. And you see Rhaenyra, of course, sort of coming into her own. She's going through her own struggles. But her performance, alongside Emily Carey's, it is so goddamn good for an actor of their age. They're young. I think Millie, if I remember, Millie is like who plays young Princess Rhaenyra is in her 20s, I think. Oh, she's 22. She's 22. Okay, so there's definitely maturity there. They look much younger in the show, of course. Let's see, Emily. I don't know how old Emily is. Double checking here. Sorry, guys. It's just me working all this. Oh, Emily Carey is actually much younger. Wow, she's 3 years younger than. So she's 19. Okay, all right. Okay. They're only there for a bit until they get older. The older actors come in and take their roles. But just again, just going back to the episode, every effing scene was just so brilliantly done, and it's still very cinematic. It's got the drama, it's got the tension. It's the pace is unbelievable because of the fact that they're jumping forward in time. They've done it so damn well. They've done it, with wonderful measurement, from scene to scene, from episode to episode. The transition has been fantastic. The score has been fantastic. The direction, the performances I've mentioned, and the wonderful, standout scenes. Like, for example, when Princess Rhaenyra meets Prince Daemon at Dragonstone. No, is it Dragonstone? Dragonstone. Yes, I think. Was it Dragonstone? Okay, I might be saying that wrong. I apologize. There's so much things going on in my head that I'm excited to talk about. But that face-to-face thing, and the head-to-head, and Prince Daemon has been put in that position a couple of times, and you see in this episode. And one of them is, of course, with Princess Rhaenyra, and Princess Rhaenyra is like, "Listen, you stole the damn dragon egg, and the only way to really take the throne is either going against the king or killing me because I'm the only heir." And you can clearly tell that Prince Daemon, as rash, as abrasive, as reckless at times that he may be, he still loves his family. There's still a connection between him and Princess Rhaenyra. Of course, that connection builds in. They end up getting married later. But once the family divides, but you can tell his guards are down when it comes to his family. The same way when you had Steve Toussaint, who plays Lord Corlys Valerian. Corlys was talking smack about the king, and Prince Daemon was like, "Hey, yo, that's my brother. I talk shit about him. You don't. You know what I'm saying? That's my family. You don't be talking shit about my family." So that as well. And I really truly believe that he does love his family, that he does love his brother, but he's also very honest about it, that his brother is weak, that he's indecisive, and that is their dynamic is also, it's wonderful to see to be played out, because King Viserys is on the opposite spectrum of Prince Daemon. Prince Daemon's more about, he's about the aggression, he's about, again, like I said, reckless. I think he's very reckless at times. Well, not at times, I think in most cases, but he wants to take that control, and he wants to do it his way, and that way. Whereas King Viserys is indecisive. He may not be reckless, he's still indecisive. If you don't make a decision, that doesn't really pan out well. And then of course you have Otto Hightower, who is sort of playing, I don't want to say, I don't think he's as as sleazy as Littlefinger, I don't think he's as sleazy as him, but very much he's got his agenda, very much wanting to stay close to the king, wanting to stay close to the throne, and do what he can to protect the throne. And I also don't believe that his daughter, Alicent Hightower, is ambitious in that way of playing the Game of Thrones. I think she's very much she has a similarity to, not exactly like her, obviously, and definitely not as naive as Sansa was in the early stages, in the early seasons, where she was naive, but also she was just playing the role. That was her duty as a lady, to play that role that everyone expects, that society expects. And I think Alicent is very much in that position. She's just following orders. Like, okay, my father says to do this, do that, so I'll do it. And I think she genuinely cares for the king. She genuinely, sympathizes, empathizes with the king. And I don't think there's any real, like, at least from her, a hidden agenda. And you can see those sort of like micro expressions, that sort of dread when, King Viserys decides in front of the small council that, hey, I'm going to marry Alicent Hightower. And you can see Alicent's face with, they sort of lock eyes, her and Rhaenyra, and Alicent's like, oh shit, this is all fucked now. And of course, Princess Rhaenyra, she's upset and angry, and she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. She feels kind of betrayed, like, what the fuck, we're best friends. I was so close to you. Now you're marrying my father. First of all, awkward, weird, but nonetheless, it's grinding the gears now. It's like sort of moving the pieces to a larger puzzle, right? And where it's going to lead to. And I feel like there's going to be a start of a war in the next episode. Maybe, I'm not sure. But there was a jump in time. So I'm assuming, I'm not 100% sure they'll do it in this episode. You see the jump in time, because you do see the young Princess Rhaenyra and Alicent Hightower, and when all the characters are a little younger, but they do get married though. So you do see that, and I'm just really excited. I mean, it's this weekly episodic thing. Game of Thrones is back. It's just awesome experience, awesome content, and I'm even more excited to see what happens. In the coming episodes. It's only 2 episodes in. So the excitement is real. The hype is real. It's legit. They've done an incredible job of executing both episodes. Episode 2 I think is better than the first one. Mysaria or Misaria. I think it's Misaria, who's played by Sonoya Mitsuno. She is gorgeous. Beautiful and gorgeous. And she's I'm sorry, because every time she comes on screen, I'm just like, and she's been in other in other projects as well, but it's really good to see her. And it's also kind of, it's a bit unexpected. You don't know what's really going to happen with these characters, because even if you go to IMDb, you'll see that all the entire cast is listed as 10 episodes. They're not going to be there for all 10 episodes. It's to avoid spoilers and things like that, and sort of like conjecture to be built up. And I think that's a brilliant job from the showrunners, from HBO as well. And as well, and another I think standout. I hope he plays a sort of a bigger role. In the coming episodes, you have my God, what's his name? Sir Kristen Cole. Sir Kristen Cole, who's played by Fabian Frankel. I think he's just a badass, like prototypical, like Kingsguard type of knight. And I think Miss Princess wow, my mind's going blank. Princess Rhaenyra is, very much, she got she might have a little crush on Kristen Cole. As you could, he's just handsome. Kristen, let me tell you something about Kristen, okay? He's like real handsome, and he knows how to fight. He's like, listen, he got experience out on the battlefield, okay? So I'm just really excited to see him protect me. All right, I'm saying. So I don't know what that's gonna happen, because of he is part of the sort of the King's Guard, right? I think. Yes, he's part of the King's Guard. He protects the king. But they're gonna be separated because Rhaenyra goes to the other side. She's wearing the blacks, and he's part of the greens because he's got to be with the king, with Alicent Hightower and the crew. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what's to come of these characters, and we're gonna be introduced to a couple of new characters as you've probably seen in the trailer. So looking forward to that. Wow, I talked a lot about it. I talked too much about Game of Thrones. I apologize. I just wanted to get it out of the way because I was really excited. Okay, and of course there's another Apple TV original called Bad Sisters. I also wanted to talk about there. It's about, it takes place in Ireland. It's very much reminds me of Big Little Lies, which is also on HBO. Wait, is it on HBO? Forgot. I'm pretty sure. Big Little Lies. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I just really love the Irish accent. Was this? I know it's by David E. Kelly, but it's from HBO. Can't remember. Anyways, I'm probably getting it wrong. It's not on Netflix. It's on HBO. It's on HBO. I think it's on HBO. Is it HBO? Jesus Christ. I hate doing this during recordings, but okay, yeah, it's HBO. Is it HBO? All right, yes, it is HBO. So it's very similar into that fabric. Bad Sisters. It's a dark comedy as well, so you'll love that. The different dynamic, of course. They're all sisters, unlike Big Little Lies, but you can tell there's a murder in there. This is not, let's say, spoilers. It's not spoilers written, but I will tell you, it's about a few sisters who don't like their brother-in-law, and they want him dead. They want him dead because he's an arsehole. He's a cunt. Excuse my language. But watch Bad Sisters. It's a great show. It's wonderful. I think I find myself very sort of like welcomed to this world, to this family, to these sisters, and they've become really my second favorite group of sisters, fictional sisters. I want to get that out of the way because I've got a lot of favorite sisters out there in the real life, so I don't want to get into trouble there. But yeah, watch Bad Sisters. I highly recommend it. I've just started watching it. Only 3 episodes in. I think it's going to be a fantastic watch. It's a highly recommended watch. And of course, Apple TV Plus continues to deliver quality. You can't go wrong with that. Go watch it. So yeah, that was my recommendation. I would recommend House of the Dragon, but everyone's watching it, so I hope everyone's watching it. Please get on the hype train. You'll enjoy it, and you will not be disappointed. But yeah, Lord of the Rings coming out in a few days, in the end of the week. You're looking forward to that. And my Irish accent is still there. Apologies. So yeah, so it's great. I'm looking forward to it, and I just also wanted to talk about something. I just wanted to talk about something. Something. It's like, I know I got a lot of great feedback in the last episode, and the clip that I shared about the whole guys can't be friends shit, or the guys using the excuse of you can't be friends and all that shit, and then I kind of went on a venting, not necessarily a tirade, but it was sort of a vent, you know what I mean, but also, it's a legitimate. I also had a friend who said, I don't ever. Apart from you, which she said, it's a given, it's an obvious. Apart from you, I've never had a guy who actually approached to just be chill with me. Like she's always it's just she's been approached to, I don't know, basically the guys trying to date her. She's never had a dude who was just strictly like, yo, let's chill and be cool and be friends and stuff. She's like, except for you, and I was just like, oh man. And, that's not the only time. I've had that plenty of times before, It's tricky. It's crazy how we've changed as human beings, And, of course, everyone has a different situation. But when we were kids and how we perceived certain things, we thought, a perfect example with my second girlfriend, I was 17 at the time, I lost my virginity to her and everything, so that might have something to do with it. But, we were so in love with each other, but we were stupid and young, right? I know this is not the case for everybody. I have a little sister who basically met her husband in high school. They were high school sweethearts, and they've been together, ever since. Now they're married. They got 2 beautiful kids, my nephews. So just it's beautiful, but like as a kid, as a youngin, even in your early 20s, you don't know shit. You're dumb, right? Because I remember something very, and I'm gonna bring her up again because I admired her so much, respect her so much, loved her so much that, my ex's mom. This is when I was, of course, 17, 18. One day my ex had asked her, would me and Doll. Well, okay. For those who don't know, my nickname is not Moody. It's actually Dollar. Okay. Yes, American dollar, ching ching currency, baby. That's what I'm about. Dollar bill, y'all. So I was about that, and she just asked her mom, like, straight up, like, Dollar and I want to get married, and because we're so in love with each other and all that stuff. And her mom, obviously it's a mother. She obviously knows more than everyone, and mothers know everything. Okay, so her mom was like, "Honey, that's very sweet, and I know you two are very in love with each other, but I'm not sure his mom is gonna be okay with that, because we're South Asian, we're Muslim, and the old school days, the old era of doing things, especially when you're younger, you're expected to do certain things, as a South Asian son or a daughter. And of course, daughters have much, much more challenging. So I never had issue there. My thing was I was very stubborn when it came to that. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care if she's, Bangladeshi or South Asian or Muslim or whatever. If I'm going to marry somebody, I'm going to marry them because I'm in love with that person and I want to spend my life with that person. Right. And she knew better, she's been through it, this beautiful single Persian, single mom, you know what I mean? Like, and when she said that, it struck a chord, and I was just like, oh shit, she's right. And so I didn't really add into that. I didn't really object to that with my girlfriend at the time. It was sitting next to me. I didn't really want to say that because it's like, I kind of already knew the reality, the situation, the problem of it all, right? So, or the challenge of it all, of wanting to be with someone you really love. And some people were blessed to have that. It's not everybody, of course, but I'm talking about generally speaking, that's how it was. And even then I had this like stupid, like false hope. I don't want to call it false hope, but I guess I'm too much of an old school romantic. I still am. That really hasn't changed about me. But at the time I was thinking, well, this is going to go on forever. We're going to be together, because that's what we think when we're young and stupid, when we're, quote unquote in love. And then we mature and we get older and we evolve as people, as a human being. And we start to realize certain things about the world we didn't realize before. And hopefully for a lot of people, I mean, for me, I've never, ever in my life regretted a single thing. I don't live my life with regrets. I never have. Everything's a learning experience. You make stupid mistakes and you move on. Hopefully you learn from it. Some of us find it very difficult to move on. It's a sort of like a vicious cycle. But what I want to sort of get to, or sort of highlight with this story is, man, when you're younger, you look at married couples and you think, oh, they're going to be together forever. That's not the case. And it's kind of heartbreaking. It's kind of sad because you get older, and then as an adult, if you're in your 30s or whatever, you start to see the cracks in these marriages, in these relationships, physically, like you can tell the unhappiness. This person's having an affair with that person, whatever. And that's their own thing. That's their own struggles. I don't judge folks that, who go through that, because again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But you look at that and you sort of second guess everything. You start wondering, fuck, man, is this for me, dude? Like, I do want to get married. I do want to settle down. I do want to have kids, but like, this is also a possibility. The whole thing is like almost like a fucking, it's a gamble, right? Because you have to be 100% sure. And even then, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a happy ending, right? That's the crazy thing about it. As you get older and as you realize that this is what life is now, that as much as two individuals who are married and may have kids or may not have kids, whatever they decide to have kids or not, doesn't matter. But their bond and their love and their care for each other may always be there. But sometimes it just won't work out. They'll just be friends. They'll get a divorce, but they still respect each other, still love and care for each other, and they're doing their own things. Understandable. You're allowed to do that. I think there's no shame in that. Whatever. There's still, of course, the stigma of being a divorcee in a lot of communities, which I think is fucking bullshit and stupid as fuck. But just people just doing their own thing. But I wonder if, because I've never been in that situation, but I wonder if their perspective of love and companionship changes, because sometimes you hook it up just to hook up because you want to fulfill certain pleasures, right? Understandable. I get that. You do what you got to do. But yeah, their perception of love, because I'm still the same. I'm still the old school romantic, not necessarily pragmatic about things, but I wear my heart on my sleeves kind of dude. I'm still that guy. And I still sort of have like these fantasies of my head of, that sort of filmy like romance, that's still there. But I wonder if people are just jaded now after, let's say, a marriage hasn't worked out. Because when we were kids, we had this sort of perception of how it could be, but it's not reality. And adults never fucking explain that to us or expose that to us because they don't want our little bubble to pop. And unless, of course, you come from a home where both parents have divorced and, you've lived that way for quite some time. And that is an entirely different situation psychologically that sort of sticks with you as you get older. You have issues, I get that. But yeah, I just wanted to really just circle and highlight about the whole perception thing, how we were younger and now we were older. Yeah, man, I don't know. I still hope that I get to achieve that one day, hopefully, But for now, achieve that one day in the sense that, have that settling down situation and hopefully having kids, and hopefully working on the marriage. I've had conflicting opinions that, some close people say, oh, you make a great father, but a terrible husband. Someone else said you make a great husband, but a terrible father. I go, thank you. Fuck you both. So apart from that, that pretty much sums up this episode. I'll tell you what I can rely on. HBO, okay, Game of Thrones, okay, House of the Dragon. Until next week, we'll see what happens in episode 3. So I'm very excited to see what goes on there. And thanks again, guys. Just going to wrap it up here. Thanks again for listening, or watching if you're watching on YouTube. And thanks for the great feedback. I get great feedbacks from the little clips. And I also appreciate the honesty. I've had people say, hey, dude, I love your content in your podcast. I didn't listen to the whole episode, but I loved that clip, so I'll continue to hopefully do that, from episode to episode. And, it's obviously different content from each episode. So the clips will obviously be different. Sometimes entertaining, sometimes thought-provoking, sometimes just stupidity. Either way, appreciate it. I'm grateful. So I'll see you guys next week. This has been episode 26. Yay. Let's continue this flow. I'm loving this. It's good for my creativity, for my soul, for my mind, my heart. So until next time, please take care of yourselves. Please treat yourselves as usual. Nothing but positivity, okay? Positive energy, good vibes. That's all it's about, you know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all next week. Until then, I'm out this piece. Peace.